All right, trade pros, welcome back to another edition of the midday update. Today's date is Thursday, April 25th, 2019, and this is Mark coming at you guys from TRADEPRO Academy headquarters here in Toronto, Ontario. So let's get cracking as far as news. Didn't really see too much after the morning update. George covered the durable good orders and the unemployment claims. Only thing that came out of the States was the natural gas storage that came in at 92 billion cubic feet versus 90 billion cubic feet expected. And we saw a little bit of, not really much of a move on the back of that in crude. But that's basically the only thing that we've seen there so far today. We've got a couple of earnings as well to watch out for. So that's something to keep an eye out for the remainder of the session. And that's all that we've got really for the remainder as far as economic events scheduled. So with that being said, let me get off of my chart, or rather get off the camera here, switch onto my charts. And there we are. And so what we're seeing at the moment, let's take a quick look at our quote board. Where did my mouse go? She is. So our quote board is showing us that the SP 500 futures, these guys are at around 912,000 contracts, and our daily change percentage is 0.15%. And so if you guys have been following along, you will know that average recently in the last 2 to 3 weeks has been around 700,000. Yesterday we saw around 500,000 around this time. Today we have 900. So you can see liquidity is back in on today's session, and we are getting a little bit of direction, even though the daily change percentage is showing the opposite of that. You just have to remember that this daily change percentage calculates based on the previous day close, not the Globex open. So something to consider there as well. As far as crude oil is concerned, we've seen lower than average volume, 396,000 contracts, very light volume, and down a fraction of a percent here, minus 0.06%. So with that being said, you can see SPUs definitely have the liquidity today. Oil has been quite lackluster as far as volume is, and the price chart also reflects that as well. So now that we've finished up with the quote board, let's jump onto our pivot charts. Have a quick gander at where these guys are seated and potential range that we could watch out for here on crude. So first things first, around 9 a.m. came up into that pivot zone, pivots at the 65.98, held that pivot for one rotation, two rotations, and we've kind of rotated lower. Now we're looking to press those lows, 65.70s around there. If we do crack below that, you can see us tracking into the overnight low at the 65.54, and then our S1 comes in here at the 65.46. So that's the level to watch out for. We have held that pivot once in today's session, so looking for that to remain a ceiling and looking for the sellers to press this thing back down below these lows into those overnight lows and potentially into that S1 right around those 65.45s. As far as the SPUs are concerned, we had pivots are very close today. Granted, we had a choppy day yesterday, quite a tight range, so it makes sense that the pivots are so close. That being said, what you'll notice is that the SPUs tested into their S3 today, right off of the open, big sell-off right into that S3. And if you guys have been following along, you would have noticed that crude oil, or not crude oil, S&P 500 last, this was on the 23rd, we mentioned that R3s and S3s tend to be overbought and oversold conditions in the market, and that you'll often, not always, but you'll often see a nice bounce off of those levels if the market can pull into them. So that's exactly what you saw today on the cash open. 9:30 a.m. we were sitting, I believe it was below the S1. Let's just make sure that that came in at, all these numbers are so messed up. Yeah, we're sitting right around the S1. Cash open opened up, got some initial selling, and came down into that S3. Now we're back above the S1, testing that pivot range right around those 32s. And so this is kind of following the script that we mentioned yesterday with the fact that, or not yesterday, 2 days ago, with the fact that SPOOs had made quite a big rally 2 days ago. And I was seeing more likelihood of a sell stop release, sorry, a buy stop release to the downside, getting rid of those late longs before we can see a push back up to those new highs. And so that's kind of what we're seeing at the moment. We've got pivots obviously acting as resistance here. You can see overnight, it's 2 a.m. So this is around the London session, coming into cash open. Between these two sessions here, you'll see that the pivot has held as resistance once, twice, 3, 4 times, and we are testing it again here, 5th time. So if it does pop to the upside, your R1 will be a potential resistance. That is 29.37. Above that, you've got these previous highs right around there, right around those 29.40s, and that's also a pretty key level for us, as that is right near where the previous day high was. So if we do get back above that pivot, you could see us trying to press into those 29.40s. I don't think we'll have the steam to get up into all-time highs today, but still looking a little bit likely, still looking like it's setting up for it going into tomorrow, end of the week. Wouldn't be surprised to see us hit all-time highs going into the end of the week, and that's what we're watching for. So as far as levels are concerned, you guys know what the pivots look like. Let's take a quick peek over here at the actual range charts and see what we are seeing. And really, to that point, you're seeing crudes kind of making lower lows, lower highs, come back in here, come as low as 65.54. That was our overnight low. Bounced off of that level, came back into the overnight high here at the 66.28. Didn't quite trade into there, but failed at those 25s, and then we had a push down. So what I'm seeing is lower lows, lower highs overall at the moment. Today's session is really encapsulated within here. This is where our open was around 9 a.m. And you can see we haven't really done too much. We've been stuck between the 66, 65, 95s, and this previous day low coming in at the 65, 66. And so we've been stuck within this range for the whole session so far. However, since you are seeing those lower lows, lower highs coming in, seeing this as a potential consolidation for another price back down. Overnight low is your initial target, 65.54. This little blue level there is also your 5-day volume profile point of control, or value area low. So lines up quite nicely with the overnight low, and that is giving me a target for the sellers here. You can see this big yellow line has been where we spent the majority of the time today. And there's a good reason for that, because that is our 5-day volume profile point of control. So this is where a majority of the trading action has taken place over the last 5 days. So is it really a surprise that we are consolidating at that level? No, not really. And if we do get back below there, I can see us pressing, like I said, those overnight lows. Even that move into the 65.30s is potentially possible for today's session if we do get below those lows. Alternatively, I'm not seeing it as likely, but we also have a potential to, press back into this zone here, into those 66s. That's what we mentioned yesterday. That 66 held quite well, and we pressed into those lows. So we can watch for something again similar. If we do get back up into that open, into those VWAPs around those 65.90s to the 66s, could look to potentially qualify something as well. But if we do get up there and break that zone, come into this value area high, I can see us rotating back down, finding some support, pressing back up into this overnight high. I'm favoring the downside. However, like I said, anything can happen, and you got to be prepared for either of those scenarios. So those are your key levels to watch out for on crude. On the S&P 500, let me bring this chart a little bit closer here. There we go. So what you're seeing on the SPOs is kind of the script that we were mentioning. You had one resistance level here, second resistance, Here you saw some consolidation before this thing just went parabolic up into those 2940s. I mentioned yesterday we're stuck within this range here between these 40s and these 31s. So what you're seeing is range, and really today we opened up right around that zone, sold off, bounced off of this level once, we've broken below it, and look where we've come back into another level of volume profile, high volume nodes right around here, right around these 18s. And if you take, let me zoom into the price action a little bit more here now that we are looking at it like this. And so what you will see is that we have our double bottom low here. We have one rotation, two rotations. Would you look at that? This rotation came one or two ticks below there. And on that rotation higher, you're seeing volume starting to pick up on these impulse moves higher. So looks like the buyers are back in here. This is kind of the script we were mentioning. We had to flush out some of these late buyers stops, and that's what we look to have done here. And that was our reversal. Now we are looking to trend back up to the upside. What's the next level of support? Well, if you see this big blue cluster, those are your resting limit orders, and that's where the big money looks to be looking to get long, right around that open. Bunch of support coming in now that we've broken back up to the upside on a rotation lower. This would be called the back and fill. You're seeing your previous day close, your overnight low, and your open all within a point of each other. And you're also seeing large buy limits at that zone. So if we get a rotation down into here and we see these guys holding that level and we get a nice bullish impulse and we see the bid start chasing that a little bit higher, then we can look to maybe qualify something for a move back into that 5-day volume profile, back into that overnight high, and potentially back into the previous day high here around those 2840s. What I'm ultimately looking for to end the day is potentially a rotation into here, and for the day to end really within this range between the 40s and the 32s. That way we can set up for nice consolidation into the Asian session and for new highs into tomorrow session. Again, those highs come in at those 48s. Oops, there it is. So those highs come in, the all-time highs are right at those 47s. So if we get that rotation lower and pop back into this range between those 40s and those 32s, like I said, I can see us consolidating at this range here overnight and then making a press for all-time highs, either into cash open tomorrow or after the cash open tomorrow as well. So have a quick look at those levels. That is what you should be watching for into the latter end of today's session. And we're going to close out the midday update here with a quick peek at our TRADEPRO Performance Index. And so you guys should know what this is by this point in time. TRADEPRO Performance Index will give you a quick snapshot of the performance of our live traders within our Discord channel. These are our members that are putting live capital in the market, and these are their results. So we had a great day today. 78% of the room was green. Those that are trading live funds, almost 72% were up, 6.25 were flat, and the remaining 22% were down for the session. So great numbers overall. Looking to close out April strong. Another 3 trading days left in April. Our average for the month is 66.74% positive under live results. So great trend here, looking to continue strong on the back of March. And really since we started tracking these numbers back in September 2018, our overall trend has been green, has been positive throughout the month. So looking to continue that into the last 3 days of April and into May as we start getting into the summer markets. So I hope you guys have been enjoying these updates, and like I said, we are piloting this out, so we want to see that you guys are enjoying it, that you guys are engaging with us. If you do enjoy these videos, please make sure to give us some love via likes, via comments. We always like to see what kind of feedback you guys have for us, whether you're enjoying these updates, whether you guys want to see anything new. We take all that into consideration, and that helps us decide what we're going to do next. So our goal here is to help you guys out, provide free content that is as valuable as the paid content of our competitors. So that's our goal here, and we are looking to deliver. And if we're doing a good job, please let us know, like I said, via those likes, via those comments. And you know, the biggest compliment that you guys can give us is referring one of your friends that might be interested in getting into trading. This is a great channel to start. So appreciate any referrals. And that is going to be it for me today. Until tomorrow, we'll look to close out the week. If you will be trading into the remainder of the session, make sure to follow our 3 rules here. Remain patient, remain disciplined, and remain diligent. That's going to be me for today. Signing off here from TRADEPRO Academy headquarters in Toronto, Ontario. This is Mark. Have a good one, guys. Good luck and good trading.